Hey. I know you're there. Where are you? Come out, please. Oh. It's you, isn't it? You've grown so much. I finally got to meet you. I'm your real mom. Who is this old lady? Seems like you've grown up healthy. That's great. Hey, Alex. What are you doing here after all this time? I heard you got a job at a big company. I'm so proud. I'm sorry for leaving you alone all this time. We just didn't have the financial means to raise a child. I'm truly sorry. You're old enough to earn your own living now. Our financial situation doesn't matter anymore, right? Let's live together and fill the 23-year gap in our parent-child relationship. When the couple's niece was born with a disability, they left her at their parents' home and disappeared. 23 years later, they returned, barging into the house and trying to take her away with them. It seems they've come after hearing rumors that their daughter got a job at a big company. It's clear they're trying to mooch off her, but the niece is smart and won't fall for it. My real dad and mom? Can we live together? What? I'm momentarily surprised by the niece's words. I've raised as my daughter. But her words. Actually, I'm Emily, a 35-year-old corporate worker. My life has been all about work, earning me a reputation for being strict and someone the office somewhat fears. Acknowledging myself as the seasoned office veteran. Love has been off my radar, but I don't feel lonely since work fulfills me. Though I do feel slightly uneasy about work being my sole source of joy. I regret not being able to show my parents a grandchild, a task now hopefully up to my brother. My brother, Alex, 3 years younger, is the social butterfly compared to my introverted self. Throughout his university days, he was hardly ever home during summer, choosing to spend time with friends and organizing large gatherings for events like Halloween and New Year's. I've even been invited once. Sis, wanna join us for the next drinking party? I'm good. Why not? You've never had a boyfriend, right? Might find someone. I'm not interested, just leave me be. I've reached 35 without ever having a boyfriend, unlike Alex, who isn't exactly a heartthrob but has had a series of relationships due to his wide circle of friends. Living each day joyously is wonderful, yet I have my concerns. Alex, you're keeping up with your courses, right? All good, all good. I always calculate the credits I need and how many classes I can skip and still be okay. That sounds like you're always on the brink of failing. Maybe take your studies a bit more seriously? What are you doing at university, anyway? As long as I graduate, it's all fine, right? You should try having some fun instead of just studying all the time. You're just playing too much. Even when we're talking. My brother's phone constantly vibrates with notifications from messages and social media. A stark contrast to mine, which rarely receives anything beyond app notifications. People like my brother are what you'd call socially fulfilled. While it's fine for him to enjoy life, I can't help but feel he's just putting off the inevitable struggles. After graduating from university, Alex moved out upon landing a job, leaving just our parents at home since I had already moved out after my own graduation and job start. On the day Alex moved out, I called our mother. Alex moved out today, right? Yes, child rearing is finally over. I've done my part. I still remember how she sounded content yet slightly sad. Since then, I've made it a point to regularly check in on our parents. Living just an hour's drive away, I try to visit as often as I can. And my parents always seem delighted whenever I do. However, it seems I'm the only one making the effort to visit or call. I wonder what Alex is up to now. Alex lives a bit far, so it's not easy for him to come home, right? But he could at least call, couldn't he? Isn't that just how boys are? My mother sighed softly, clearly worried about him. I, too, am concerned that Alex might still be clinging to his student lifestyle. When I got home, I decided to call him for the first time in a while. Hello? Emily, what's up? I get that you can't easily come home. But you haven't been in touch with Mom at all, have you? She's worried about how you're doing. Always so serious, huh? All right. Tell her I'm doing fine. Tell her yourself. And you're properly working, right?
Yeah.
I'm working. Just doing what I'm told, so it's a breeze. There you go being careless again. Work is not the same as getting university credits. Yes. I get it. Alex sounded clearly bothered, his tone dropping and his words becoming fewer as we spoke. He may call me serious, but it seems he hasn't changed either. Worried about him, I decided to call him regularly, just like I do with our parents. It might be meddling, but I can't help worrying about my family. I started relaying what I heard from him to our mother. She seemed a bit relieved to hear about Alex, her voice brighter, I thought. But Alex gradually stopped answering my calls, and eventually, he stopped picking up altogether. It's been 5 years without any contact, and he hasn't shown his face at home. I thought, Alex is 32 now. I wonder if he's still at the same company. Maybe he changed jobs or moved. One evening, while eating dinner alone, my brother crossed my mind. Little did I know, this premonition would only be realized much later. As I ate with the TV noise in the background, my phone rang. Calls on my phone are rare, usually just app notifications or calls from Mom. I paused my dinner to answer her call. Hello, what's up? I got a call from Alex. She sounded excited, breathing heavily. I figured she must be overjoyed to hear from Alex after 5 years. But it seemed there was more to her excitement than just the contact itself. Alex is coming home soon. Really? That's unusual for Alex to come home. Did something happen? He's having a child. Really? This took me by surprise. I never imagined that my brother would have a child. Since Alex isn't married, it means the child comes first. But having a child out of wedlock isn't uncommon these days. And neither our parents nor I have the old-fashioned belief that marriage must come first. Instead, my mother and I laughed. Finding it just like Alex to bring us news of a child after not hearing from him for 5 years. When is he coming home? Next month. I'll come home then, too. I want to see Alex and the woman who will become his wife. I decided to go home to celebrate my brother, imagining the proud adult he must have become. Which made my dinner go down a bit easier. However, the situation I encountered was far different from what I had envisioned. Dad. Mom. Can we stay here at the house? What? Alex's fiancée, Sarah, stood with her hands on her swollen belly, looking down awkwardly. On the day Alex came home, my mother and I greeted him and Sarah at the entrance. Exchanged brief greetings, and then led them to the living room where my father was. Alex sat down with a somber expression. Despite being about to announce his pregnancy and upcoming marriage. An uncomfortable silence fell over us, no one able to break it until Alex finally spoke up. His voice feeble with the request to return home. What do you mean? Actually, I haven't been able to stick with any job. I've been hopping from one job to another, and now at 32, without any skills or achievements. It's become tough to find another job. I'm currently unemployed. My savings are nearly gone, and now, the baby is almost here. So, you're out of options and decided to come back home? You were right, sis. I regret not taking work more seriously. I know it's too late for regrets. But seeing Sarah's belly grow, I realized I needed to be more responsible. Please, can you let us stay until after the baby is born? I know it's rude to ask to live with you upon our first meeting. But we have nowhere else to go. Please, we beg of you. Alex and Sarah, their faces flushed and teary, bowed deeply to our parents. While Alex's predicament was indeed the result of his own actions. It was clear he had reflected on his mistakes and faced many hardships until now. Our parents seemed resigned to accept them, likely wanting to give Alex a chance to recover from his failures, and also considering the well-being of their soon-to-arrive grandchild. You can stay here, but in return, Alex, you must find a job. Thank you. I'll do my best. With our father's permission, Alex and Sarah were set to live at home. They planned to marry officially after the baby was born. But with Sarah moving into our family home, they decided to register their marriage sooner as a formal gesture. This made Alex and Sarah officially husband and wife. All seemed to be on the path to resolution, the birth of the baby, Alex finding a job, and eventually moving out to start their own life. However, the situation would soon take a turn for the worse. 2 months later, Sarah gave birth. Alex rushed from work to the hospital. The next morning, unable to contain my excitement and knowing it might be a bother, I called Alex before he left for work. Congratulations. The baby was born, right?
Yeah.
I had expected my brother to be at the pinnacle of happiness the day after his child was born. However, the voice that greeted me on the phone sounded as though he was walking through the depths of hell. I have to go to work. I just started this job, and I can't be late. Ho? I'm sorry. Have a good day. After hanging up, I immediately called my mother. Mom, what's wrong with Alex? I don't know. Ever since he came back from the hospital yesterday, he's been so gloomy. He won't answer anything I ask. It was clear something had happened given my brother's demeanor. Yet, there he was, in that state. My mother and I decided it would be best to let him come to us when he was ready. So for now, we focused on celebrating the birth of his child. 3 days after the birth, my parents and I visited the hospital to see Sarah and the baby. That's when we learned why Alex had been so downcast. Please, look at the baby. We planned to name her Monica. Oh, she's adorable. She's going to be as beautiful as you, Sarah. My parents were speechless with joy at the sight of their first grandchild, simply smiling and gazing at my niece. But then, I noticed something. Wait, her hand. Unable to see clearly, I hesitantly rolled up the sleeve of my niece's clothes. Her right hand had only 3 fingers. They said it's a congenital limb defect. It happens in about 1 in 1,000 babies. Sarah explained about the baby's fingers in a soft voice, tears spilling over as she sat on the bed. My parents and I didn't know what to say, and we fell silent. The sounds of children leaving school could faintly be heard in the quiet hospital room. But she's here with us now, isn't she? Let's make sure she's happy. If there's anything I can do, just let me know. I'll help. Emily, Sarah seems tired. We've seen the baby now, so maybe we should go home today? We'll come back tomorrow, Sarah. I wanted to cheer up Sarah, who seemed so downcast. But my mother thought it best to give her some space for now. Without any personal experience in childbirth, I decided to follow my mother's judgment. And we left for the day. On the way home, I quickly came to understand that my mother's decision was the right one. Even if the baby has a disability, isn't it still something to be happy about? Why should that make anyone so downcast? I don't think Sarah is shocked that the baby has a disability. She probably feels guilty for bringing a child with a disability into the world. I felt ashamed for trying to forcibly cheer up Sarah. Once back home, I found my brother there and carefully chose my words to avoid another mistake. We saw the baby. She's so cute. She'll definitely grow up to be beautiful. What's the point of having a beautiful face if she has a monster-like hand? Hey. How can you say something like that? I understood that my brother was shocked about the baby, but his comment was unacceptable. So, I stopped mincing my words. I might not know all the details, but if her right hand is impaired, then as parents, you just become her right hand. So what if she's a bit different? What does that matter? We have to raise that monster for the rest of our lives? I finally found a job, was about to get our life back on track, and then we have that? How is that supposed to motivate me to work, huh? Motivation? What are you talking about? A child isn't a tool for you to gain motivation for work. You wouldn't understand. You're not a parent. Yes, I haven't given birth, so I can't understand a parent's feelings. But I know when someone's saying something fundamentally wrong as a human being. All right. I'm wrong, okay? Why did I have to draw the short straw out of 1,000? Such a hassle. With a lethargic step, my brother left the house. Had I chosen my words poorly again? Unfortunately, as my brother said, I lack parental experience, so there's much I don't understand. Attempting to converse might lead to conflicts like before. So it seemed best to leave it to my parents. Consequently, troubled over how to interact with my brother and his wife, I decided to stop visiting home for a while. But during this period of absence, an unthinkable incident occurred. A week after Sarah was discharged and returned to our family home, I received an early morning call from my mother. Emily. Come to the house immediately. What? Why so early in the morning? Alex and Sarah are gone. What? Clutching only my wallet with my driver's license, I rushed to my car and drove to my parents' house without even putting on makeup. Look at this. Upon arriving, I was shown a piece of torn notebook paper with Alex's sloppy handwriting that simply read, "Please take care of our daughter." What does this mean? I don't know. We just found this note in the morning. Wasn't Alex supposed to work hard because he had a daughter coming? Or perhaps, his true feelings were that raising a child with a disability was too much trouble. Did Sarah not find her newly born daughter cute as she grew in her womb? If she did, she wouldn't have abandoned her newborn child. I was furious at my brother and his wife for suddenly changing their behavior because of a disability and leaving their daughter behind with nothing but a note. What do you mean you can't understand a parent's feelings? You're just abandoning your responsibilities. My shout, possibly the loudest I've ever made in my life, startled the baby, causing her to cry. Hearing my niece's cries, I calmed down a bit. The last thing this innocent child needed was to suffer because of her parents' actions. I'll become her mother. The words came naturally as I looked at my niece's face. Naturally, my parents panicked, trying to stop me. You can't just suddenly become a mother. That's right. Alex and Sarah might come back. Let's wait and see. We'll take care of Monica for now. They're not coming back, are they? Decisions require careful thought, but sometimes, action needs to be taken swiftly. I conveyed my determination through my eyes to my parents. All right, but you can't do this alone. Yes, we'll support you. Thus, it was decided that the three of us would raise my niece together. First, we had to deal with the parental rights still held by my brother and his wife. A simple note saying, "Please take care of our daughter," wasn't enough. However, with my brother and his wife missing and their phone numbers changed, we couldn't reach them. Given their unknown whereabouts and prolonged absence, I decided to become my niece's guardian through the minor guardianship system. Now, I was effectively my niece's mother. This process alone was incredibly challenging and time-consuming. Raising a child while continuing to work was not something I could simply quit. With the support of my parents, we moved forward with childcare. As I juggled raising my niece with occasionally looking into my brother and his wife's whereabouts. It wasn't with the intention of returning her to them. I just wanted to give them a piece of my mind. I had no intention of ever giving my niece back to them, especially after raising her for 10 years. During those years, my niece grew up healthy and lively, not letting her right hand define her. She was spirited. Even once turning the tables on a boy who teased her about her hand in elementary school. While I don't condone violence, her resilience was commendable. Being left-handed, she adapted well. Though she faced minor inconveniences like struggling with small candy wrappers. Or not being able to hold utensils in her right hand. As my niece turned 10, it was time to consider when to tell her about her biological parents. When should we tell Monica about Alex and the others? Isn't 10 a bit too young? Maybe before she becomes a working adult? We hadn't yet told my niece that I wasn't her biological mother. Calling me a mom filled me with mixed emotions, knowing the truth wasn't yet shared. Another decade passed, and my niece became a 20-year-old university student. Facing significant life changes. Mom, thanks for all your help. I'll take it from here. Standing before my mother's grave, I expressed my determination. Both of my parents had passed away 3 years prior. Despite their absence, I had a duty to fulfill, a decision made 10 years ago. Monica, come here for a sec. What's up? One night, I summoned my niece to the living room. Determined to share the truth about her biological parents before her job search began. As I struggled to find the words, overwhelmed by anxiety, Monica looked at me with concern. There was no turning back, I had to be brave. Monica, you're actually my brother's child. What do you mean? Her reaction was a mix of shock and disbelief, not sure how to process the information. I explained everything, how her biological parents came back to our home. Their reaction upon her birth, and their decision to leave her with nothing but a note. I worried about how this revelation would affect her, but it was necessary. As I recounted the events, her face flushed with various emotions. What? They're awful. Honestly, I'm just grateful you raised me instead. Oh? Well, yes. Her straightforward acceptance of the truth caught me off guard, leaving me with a dumbfounded expression. I had braced for a different reaction, perhaps denial or anger, but was met with gratitude instead. Her continued affection, calling me Imam as if nothing had changed, filled me with a delayed sense of joy. So, where are these biological parents of mine now? I don't know. For 20 years, my brother and his wife remained unfound, though they occasionally surfaced among other relatives or acquaintances. I managed to get some information, but they vanish without a hint of their next destination, leaving no clue to their whereabouts. Well, I'm not earnestly trying to find my brother and his wife, so it's fine if they remain unfound. 3 more years have passed, and my daughter has graduated from university and found a job. However, she's not leaving home. I live in the suburbs, within commuting distance to my office, allowing me to take the train to the business district. Since my daughter has found employment at a company near where I work, there's no need for her to move out. You chose a nearby company so you wouldn't have to move out, didn't you?
Yeah.
It saves on rent, doesn't it? Choosing a job like that. Are you sure it's okay? It's fine. Don't worry about it. Her nonchalant way of discussing such important matters somewhat resembles my brother. Perhaps this kind of attitude is hereditary? However, my daughter and my brother are vastly different in many ways. My daughter has been hired by a major company. She seems more capable at her job than I ever was. Even though I've become entrenched in my work. Her academic abilities are high. But it's her quick decision-making and initiative that really stand out. These traits will be invaluable in the workforce. With further knowledge and skills acquired at the company, she'll be unstoppable. Unlike my brother, I have no concerns about her adapting to society. I'm looking forward to seeing her excel in her career. One early morning, the doorbell rang. Checking the monitor, I was at a loss for words. The monitor showed a man and a woman standing outside. They were far from what one would call well-kept, their faces gaunt. Though it was hard to be sure at first glance, the man was undoubtedly my brother. Even after 20 years, I recognized his face. Realizing the man was my brother, I knew the woman with him must be his wife. Who's that? I'm not sure, but I'll go check. Not wanting my daughter to meet her biological parents this way, I decided not to speak through the intercom but to head to the front door quickly. Their purpose for coming after so long is unclear. Certainly, this isn't something to be discussed at the doorstep. I intended to take my brother and his wife to a nearby park to talk. But leaving the chain off the door in my haste was a mistake. As soon as I opened the door, my brother forcefully pushed it open. Hey. Monica. You're there, aren't you? Where are you? Come out, please. Forcing the door open, my brother and his wife barged in without permission, loudly calling out for my daughter. Oh. It's you, Monica? You've grown so much. I've finally met you. I'm your real mom. Who is this old lady? As my brother and his wife entered the living room, they encountered my daughter eating breakfast. The sudden intrusion of unknown adults made my daughter wary and her tone sharp. I entered the living room shortly after my brother and his wife. Hey, Alex. What are you doing here after all this time? Hearing me say my brother's name, my daughter looked startled. Her keen intuition told her these were the relatives she had heard stories about. I heard you landed a job at a big company. Your resilience, not letting your disability hold you back, makes me incredibly proud. We're sorry for leaving you alone all this time. We simply didn't have the financial means to raise a child back then. We're truly sorry. Now that you're old enough to earn your own money, our financial situation doesn't matter, right? Let's live together and fill the 23-year gap in our parent-child relationship. It's clear that my brother and his wife, having heard about my daughter's employment at a large corporation, intend to mooch off her. But my daughter is smart, she won't fall for such tactics. I wasn't worried about my daughter's reaction. My concern was how to get rid of my brother and his wife. My real mom and dad? Can we live together? What? I couldn't help but let out a surprised exclamation. This reaction prompted a smug look from my brother and his wife.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be better to live with your real parents? Now, say thank you to this fake mom of yours. But, wait. I need to know more about you two before making any decisions. Well, we can catch up on everything once we're back home. Right. Mom, sorry. I want to make sure of who my parents are after 23 years, on my own. Monica. My daughter looked at me desperately, while my brother and his wife watched us, smirking. They probably thought that once they took my daughter away, they could do whatever they wanted. But looking into my daughter's eyes, I sensed she had a plan. This silent communication was a testament to the 23 years we've spent together as a family. Something my brother and his wife could never understand. Let's go then. Thank you for taking care of our daughter. With a triumphant smile, my brother and his wife left. I chose to trust my daughter, sitting on the living room sofa, waiting silently. The waiting felt longer than ever, as if the clock's hands had slowed down. I'm back. In the evening, my daughter returned with the casual demeanor of someone who had just been out with friends. Welcome back. Everything okay? They didn't do anything weird, did they? All good. But look at this, I've summarized everything. What? What my daughter handed me was a notebook. Inside, over several pages, was a summary of what my brother and his wife had been up to these past 23 years. I got it all out of them. They're really bad at telling stories, so I just got to the main points. It was a bit of a hassle. So that's what you were doing. Obviously. There's no way I'd go live with those people. I just listened to their story and came right back. According to my daughter, after leaving our home, my brother and his wife had been hopping from job to job and moving from place to place. But these moves weren't deliberate. They've been borrowing money left and right and running away when they can't pay back. So they show up at relatives' or acquaintances' places, borrow money, and then run away again. They said they'd paid off their debts and came to take me back, but it's so obviously a lie. How desperate must they be to think they can rely on the money from someone who's just started working? Thinking about why they had to show up now, it seems they're really at the end of their rope. Exactly. Oh, and this is their address. This is the most important piece of information, right? Proudly, my daughter pointed to the address she had noted in the notebook. In just half a day, she had uncovered everything about my brother and his wife, who had been elusive for 23 years. Feeling proud of my daughter, I pulled out my smartphone. A week later, my brother and his wife showed up at our house again. Hey. What have you done? It's all because of you. How are you planning to take responsibility? This time, they seemed panicked. Not even bothering with the intercom but instead banging on the door and shouting. To avoid causing a disturbance in the neighborhood, I stopped preparing breakfast and headed for the front door. Should I come too? There's no need to let those two see you. It's not worth it. I went to the door alone this time, making sure to put the chain on before opening it. As expected, my brother tried to force the door open. However, the chain stopped it, and he reluctantly peered in through the gap. Relatives and acquaintances came demanding their money back all at once. What did you do? All I did was share your address with those you visited over the past 20+ years. After Monica got it out of you. You knew we were borrowing money everywhere? Of course. Unlike you, I've kept in touch with our relatives. And I even tried to find you to give you a piece of my mind. You've been borrowing from dangerous places, haven't you? I've spread the word, so debt collectors might be getting that information too. Alex. If that's the case, we can't stay here. We need to run. What exactly did they come for? They might have intended to complain to us. But realizing their address was more widely known than they thought. My brother and his wife quickly left. They're probably preparing to flee again. Is it over? Yes, it's finally over. Took 23 years. This incident should make it clear to my brother and his wife that my daughter is not their child but mine. With this, the chances of them appearing before us again are slim. As I resumed my breakfast, it tasted even better than before. According to what relatives have told me, some dangerous people already knew their address. And it seemed they were taken away. Relatives, who went to demand repayment, stumbled upon this scene. 3 men in normal suits, polite and gentle in their tone, were there. Excuse us, but could we speak with them first? Despite their smiling faces, the relatives felt an aura that made them step back, allowing the men to talk first. Since the next day, my brother and his wife haven't returned home. Where they were taken, I don't know, but they've disappeared again. I hope they are working earnestly somewhere. My daughter and I continue our lives unchanged, living together and both doing well in our jobs. On our next day off, we plan to visit our parents and report about my brother and his wife.